This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming.
So a little while back, I made a video on the top 8 best unique and legendary weapon effects in Fallout 4. Some of you guys mentioned that I missed a couple of really good effects, and sure enough, I went back and I checked on some of the ones that you guys mentioned, and I decided I could go ahead and make another list on some great legendary weapon effects for Fallout 4 that I missed. Now including some of the legendary weapon effects mentioned by you guys, top 6 more unique and legendary weapon effects in Fallout 4. Let's go ahead and start with number 6, the Stalkers Effect. The Stalkers Effect is quite nice, provided you have the extra action points to take advantage of it. What the Stalkers Effect does is it increases VAT's hit chance, but at a higher action point cost. This ability makes it very easy to pull off a headshot when using VATs, and you can actually maximize the effects of the Stalkers Effect further by acquiring Joseph McCready's Kill Shot perk, which boosts your hit chance for targeting heads in VATs by an additional 20%. While it doesn't boost damage like the Instigating Effect, this ability does make it fairly easy to snipe enemies in VATs. Simply trigger VATs, pick a body part, and just go to town. Now, it might be because I'm not using a stealth character, or my character has relatively low perception, but my VAT's accuracy is still fairly low at considerable distances, and I'd be willing to argue the case that sometimes you might just be better off manually aiming and attempting a headshot instead of taking the risk and missing with VATs, even with the Stalkers Effect weapon. The Tinker Tom Special is the only unique weapon in Fallout 4 that contains the Stalker Effect. If you'd like to obtain the Tinker Tom Special, it is simply acquired by purchasing it from Tinker Tom, who is a part of the Railroad. Number 5, the Plasma Infused Effect. I'll just go ahead and mention this, but both the Plasma Infused Effect and the Freezing Effect are fairly similar. The big difference is that the Plasma Infused Effect doesn't freeze enemies on critical hits, and instead has a chance to occasionally goofy enemies once you kill them. While I'd argue that the Plasma Infused Effect is not quite as good as the explosive effect for boosting the damage of your weapons, you can still double both a weapon's base damage and the actual plasma-based energy damage from basic weapon perks like the Gunslinger perk for non-automatic pistols, the Rifleman perk for non-automatic rifles, the Commando perk for automatic weapons, and Heavy Gunner for heavy weapons. When compared to other weapons with elemental-like effects like the Gainer and Ashmaker that have the Incendiary effect, there is a noticeable damage improvement on weapons with the Plasma Infused effect that have it applied, especially on a minigun or other weapons with low damage per shot per bullet. Another example would be the submachine gun that fires 45 rounds. At this time, there are currently no unique weapons that have the Plasma Infused effect for the vanilla game of Fallout 4. Now, it is possible that they may appear in later DLC expansions. Number 4, the Freezing Effect. As mentioned in our previous entry, the Freezing Effect and the Plasma Infused effect are very similar. The difference being that instead of occasionally goofying enemies when they die, the Freezing Effect will freeze an enemy upon scoring a critical hit in VATs. As an interesting aside, for whatever reason, I can't get the Freezing Effect to work when it is applied to the minigun. And I'm curious if anyone else has experienced this issue. Maybe it is just unique to the minigun and is like a weird bug. Like the Plasma Infused effect, you can double a Freezing Effect weapon's base damage and energy damage by investing points into either Gunslinger, Rifleman, Commando, or the Heavy Gunner perks. Between the ability to goofy enemies upon death and the ability to freeze enemies on critical hits, honestly, I would go ahead and say that the ability to freeze an enemy is better than the Plasma Infused effect's ability to goofy enemies upon death. At this time, just like the Plasma Infused effect, there are currently no unique weapons that have the Freezing effect for the vanilla game of Fallout 4. Now, it is possible that they may appear later in future DLC expansions. Number 3, the Kneecapper Effect. To be honest with you guys, since you pointed this out and I finally got around to testing it, I kind of feel bad about not including this one in the original episode, especially since I included the staggering effect in the original episode, and I would argue that the kneecapper is actually better up against melee enemies. What the kneecapper effect does is it cripples an enemy's legs and works on pretty much every enemy that you can imagine. It's kind of funny. I've actually gotten this to work on like sentry bots. Once an enemy has been crippled, they cannot move at all unless they have a way to heal, like a stim pack, for example. This ability has the capacity to be insanely powerful and works wonders against enemies that only have melee attacks. And the kneecapper effect allows you to basically just cheese Deathclaws. I mean, it's absolutely insane. You can see where their legs have been broken. It's kind of gross, actually, but it's kind of awesome at the same time. If you can find one of these, I recommend these on like automatic weapons, particularly ones with cheap ammo, like either a automatic pipe pistol or rifle, or a minigun, as both 38 ammo and 5mm ammo is very cheap to purchase. Otherwise, the Big Jim wrench is the only unique weapon in Fallout 4 with the kneecapper effect. The Big Jim wrench is acquired by traveling to Walden Pond and going to the Walden Pond gift shop basement. The entrance is a big drainage pipe. Number 2, the Neverending Effect. So the Neverending Effect was going to originally be in the original countdown, but for whatever reason I decided to cut it. I think that was because I wasn't really thinking about all of the possibilities for the Neverending Effect that it can provide to your arsenal. While I particularly like the Neverending Effect on weapons like the laser pistol and rifle, or the plasma pistol and rifle, the Neverending Effect is exceptional on both low and relatively low ammo capacity weapons. Specifically, guns like the double barrel shotgun, the Fat Man launcher, the missile launcher, and even the broadsider are really good. In fact, I would go ahead and say that the Neverending Effect is incredible on the Fat Man launcher, as you can launch like 20 mini nukes in the span of like 5 seconds or so. Now, the Neverending Effect appears on the prototype UP-77 quotations Limitless Potential and the Wazer Rifle laser weapons. The UP-77 is acquired by unlocking a master lock at University Point inside the University Point Credit Union, while the Wazer Rifle is acquired by beating the game under certain conditions and completing a certain unmarked side quest. Number 1. The Instigating Effect. The Instigating Effect is incredible on sniper-type weapons or weapons that have very high base damage. Some weapons that come to mind are Gauss rifles, Fat Mans, missile launchers, plasma snipers, laser snipers, hunting rifles, and even a pipe bolt-action rifle. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend the Instigating Effect on automatic weapons or low base damage weapons that are capable of really high DPS, so think of something like a Ripper. You figure if the Gauss rifle has a base damage of 192 when fully upgraded, provided you have an instigating Gauss rifle with a suppressor, you can get like 5.25 times sneak attack damage with both the Mr. Sandman perk and the Ninja perk both maxed out. You could deal up to like 2,000 damage. Even if you were wearing power armor and or no suppressor, that would still be like 1,300 damage. Keep in mind, that's without the Rifleman perk, which you would most likely have bringing the damage from like 2,000 to like 4,000 damage and 1,300 damage to like 2,700 damage. The Old Faithful laser pistol / rifle and the Sentinels plasmacaster are unique weapons that contain the Instigating Effect. The Old Faithful is bought from Arturo in Diamond City, while the Sentinels plasmacaster is acquired by reaching the rank of Sentinel within the Brotherhood of Steel. Anyway guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like. I think in a couple days I am going to do the top X worst legendary weapon effects at some point. Maybe I'll do one for the armor effects as well. But again, if you have any suggestions for that, leave that in the comments below. But again guys, take care and I'll see y'all next time.